Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition, and we're specifically going to talk about something unusual. I'm not even sure what words to use here because this is a tough video to talk about. I am a Dungeons & Dragons commentator. It's a big part of my life. I really enjoy it. Not all the time. Most of the time, I think. There are definitely hard days, right? And I have some bad news. So there's another Dungeons and Dragons commentator, and something incredibly unfortunate has happened. Many of you may know this gentleman. His first name was David, and he went by the Digital Dungeon Master. He did quite a bit of Dungeons and Dragons commentator over his career. Commentating over his career, and basically he was a very interesting guy. Let me give you his I won't bury the lead here. He has passed. He contracted the horrible March 2020 problem. And then in complications from that, he had cardiac arrest, and the nurses were unable to revive him. All that is from his Twitter account posted by Paulette, who was close to him. His first name was David, and he went by the Digital Dungeon Master. He was a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition commentary person, and he's an incredibly unique individual. All right, I'm going to take a little bit of a... Hold on, I'm going to content break for a second here. I have an unusual channel. I just wanted to let you know something I just added to my channel real quick. So I talk a lot about peak path to Dungeons & Dragons, playing Dungeons & Dragons at its best. And I'm constantly talking about Gary Gygax's true legacy, which was Unbound Immersion and Unbound Identity. And and Unbound Identity and Unbound Immersion in that order. And those are very complex subjects. So, and a lot of people come in, and I don't have the time to explain them in every video. So what I did is in the doobly-doo below, you will find a link to explaining Unbound Identity and Unbound Immersion. That's brand new, just made it. And it's an article I wrote, and it gives very clear idea of what it is. That way, it'll save me from having to repeat myself in many videos, and it'll make my opinion on those subjects clear, right? So that there's one source for it, right, in case there's any confusion. All right, let me get back to the main vid here. Sorry for the interruption there. I wanted to do that at the beginning, but I just forgot. Apologies. So David, the Digital Dungeon Master, was a Dungeons & Dragons commentator, and he did an immense... so let's look at his metrics, right? Like, let's remember him, right? So he had 25,000 subscribers. And I can tell you, in this game, that ain't easy. I got 1,800 subscribers. I'm thankful for every single one of them. But this guy was playing at a level that I just wasn't playing at, right? He really worked incredibly hard on his videos. It put a lot more time and effort into his videos than I put into mine. And I have a huge amount of respect for that. And I think he really brought a lot of joy to the Dungeons & Dragons community. And I think he was a very valuable member of the Dungeons & Dragons community. So he had 25,000 subs, and he did 4,500 videos. That's incredible. That is incredible. I have 2,300 videos. I actually make the claim right here and now. I've claimed it before. I'm going to claim it again. I think I'm the most prolific Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition commentator. I think I'm the most prolific Dungeons & Dragons commenter in the world. I think I have more videos on Dungeons & Dragons than anybody in the world. Now, if this guy had 4,500, how am I beating him? Well, I stay focused on Dungeons & Dragons. I'm pretty focused on Dungeons & Dragons, right? And he would cut up his content into miniatures and into fantasy grounds and a million other topics. And to be more open to the tabletop role-playing game community, he was always talking about games beyond Dungeons and Dragons. So it kind of split his focus, right? But that's what he wanted, and he really, he always upped that, games were equal, and that, tabletop role-playing games, he thought most of them had equal value, right? One of the things I'll give you my favorite video that he ever did. He did a video on the completion of the Pathfinder physical miniatures set. He completed collecting all of the Pathfinder's miniature set, I think from the beginning of when they started making them, which is like 2012, I think. And he talked about it, and he showed pictures of every single miniature, right? And of course, he always said, you can use these in Dungeons and Dragons, you can use them in any fantasy, you can use them in Pathfinder, you can use them in any game, and that is true. Like when you make a skeleton, right? You can use that in Five Torches Deep, you can use that in OSC, you can use that in D&D 1E, you could use it in D&D 5E generally, right? So and he was really big into miniatures, and he did a ton of work on his videos, because when he did miniatures videos, he had to shoot the mini and then talk over it, and so that's a whole bunch of editing. And I'm going to tell you something right now. It's quite common for me to do 5 videos a day, right? You know how I do that? No editing, right? And actually, I've been doing this for 8 years, and shooting a video and not editing is tough, because you got to put up whatever you shoot, right? And that's and I'll tell you right now, I'm fully aware that that's why I have 18. It's one of the reasons I have 18 subs and he had 25,000. Right? People like production values. I get it. I totally get it. Right? My production values are very low. I really do focus on quantity and immediacy, right? So one of the things I think helps my channel is because I don't edit, and I'm just and I can cut a video. I can cut a video and put it up literally the night that I cut it, right? And that is really helpful, because I can be very spontaneous. I can be very immediate. My content can be very immediate, right? And so but he really talked, actually, one of his last videos talked about just how challenging doing miniatures videos, and he did tons of miniature videos. He had a focus near the end on miniatures, right? It was like his main jam, right? But this guy was, if you look at his videos, he had an incredible tabletop role-playing game collection. And a lot of people there's a whole, kind of a backlash against the dope, the dope TTPRG wall. I'm all about the dope TTPRG wall, right? So one of the things I can't do in my channel, just based on the structure of my channel, I have a nice collection. I don't have a collection anywhere near what this guy had. He had an amazing tabletop role-playing game collection. So he was a collector, he was a great commentator, he was a SME, a subject matter expert on fantasy miniatures, and I'll tell you, my heart goes out to him, because he did what I did. He was a Dungeons & Dragons commentator, and I will tell you right now, being a Dungeons & Dragons commentator is not easy. It can be very challenging, it can be time-consuming, right? It's tricky to balance all the different, it's tricky to balance everything that needs to be balanced when doing this activity, right? And he balanced it extremely well. I'm incredibly saddened by his loss, and I think the D&D community is, raise the black flag. This is a day of mourning. I'm gonna miss him. I'm gonna miss his content. I do remember that my favorite video was when he completed his collection of the Pathfinder minis, and he went through every single miniature and told you the prices, and it was crazy. I think he had an owl that cost $60 for one miniature, and it was literally a miniature of an owl, right? And it was just and you could see him just grimacing that he paid $60 for an owl miniature, but he was collecting, right? And when you're collecting, you got, it's just like Pokemon, you got to get them all. And so it was tough, and but he is a great loss to the D&D community. I'm definitely going to miss him. I'm going to miss his content, and if you get a chance, I'll put the link below to his content, and please head on over and check out his content, just in memoriam. it's a great loss. All that's my opinion. Were you a fan of Digital Dungeon Master? Did you see his focus of miniatures as an important focus in what we do? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.